In this video, we are going to talk about some very basic Excel functionality. This is useful for the Microsoft Office certifications, in particular the Excel Associate exam. So the two pieces of functionality we're going to talk about here are the Find and Replace dialog box, pop-up window, and the Goto pop-up window. Okay, first how to find. We'll talk find and replace first. First how to find that. A bunch of ways to get there. One is Control F. Just got to select our Excel window. Control F, and that brings up the find and replace window. In the find setup, Control H brings up the find and replace window in the replace setup. There's also a keyboard shortcut in Windows, which is the Alt key, which brings up these little keyboard shortcuts, H for the home ribbon. And then we're looking at Find and Select, which is FD, and then F for Find, R for Replace. Again, if you're a mouse lover, we can go over here. If you've got your home ribbon, it's in the editing section, Find and Replace, Find, Replace. All right, so what we're going to do, let's put some text in here and let's do some silly things here. So test, there we go. Let's put a bunch of variants of test. One of the clever things, maybe clever, not so clever things you can do with the search functionality. Let's make this black. All right, so we've got different formattings. Let's center that maybe. Okay, so we've got different formatting. We've got the word test showing up 4 times. 3 are lowercase, 1 is uppercase. So, or uppercase T. So let's do Control F and let's look for test to begin with. Now, if you look at the bottom here, you can see find all and find next. You also see underlined letters, the I in find all, the F in find next. If you type Alt and whatever that letter is, Alt I, it finds all. And you can see here in the find all, it has found 4 cells, E2, E4, E6, and E8, all with the word test in it. Now, what you'll notice is we have the match case tick box off. If we match case and we do find all, it's just finding 3 because that last one does not count. Let's add one more into this. Test 1. Control F brings up test. If we do test, find all without matching case, we'll see it shows up 5 times. All of these show up. If we want to match case, it shows up 3 times because these last 2 do not match. If we match entire cell contents, it only shows up 3 times. We're matching case, which excludes E8, and we're matching entire cell contents, which exclude E10. The next thing we can do is let's just put a little formula in here. So TE ampersand ST. So this is going to glue together the string TE with the string ST and gives us test as well. Let's find again. Now we find all, and we can see shows up 3 times. But in this case, we're looking in the formulas. And of course, in the formula, in this cell, test does not appear because it's split up into TE and ST. But if we look at values, it does appear because the formula gives us test. So we can do a lot of things here within this. We can also search within the workbook or the sheet. So if we have tests on a different sheet, we can find those as well. We can search by rows or by columns. And this doesn't, and what I've been doing so far, I've done find all repeatedly. If I want to find next, again, everything's in a column. But if there's some data and elsewhere, you'll see, let's put a test over here. All right, so let's do Control F. We're going to find test. Find next. We go back to the beginning, and here, because we're searching by rows, we're going to go to the cell to the right and then down. If we are searching by columns, it would find the one in the same column. So it just determines which one, if you're doing find next, which one is going to be next if there are multiple choices. The last thing which you can do in our search is search for the text, but only if it matches the format. So let's do fill. We're going to put our yellow in. Here, we're finding test. It's got to have a yellow background. We've got to match the case and match the entire cell contents. If I get rid of match cased and find all, we of course find two because these two both have yellow backgrounds. So we can do all these sorts of things with our find and replace. Personally, I probably never, except for these kinds of demonstrations, used the find test if it matches the following format, but it seems to be a trick that Excel, the Office certifications, want you to know, so I guess we have to know it. All right, so last bit of functionality here, we can do Alt-P to go to replace, and we can find the cells that say test with the yellow background, and we can get it to say test done, for example, and we of course can change the background to red. So first we find all, there are two, again let's match case, so we'll find one, so it's just doing one, this first one, and if we replace, it's replaced test with test done, and it's changed the yellow background to be a red background. So same kind of functionality, you can find and replace, you can replace all, so if there's more than one. So let's look at find all. Oops, we've only got one test. Oh, because it's the yellow background. We can turn that off. Let's clear the find format. So now there's no format set. It'll find all formats. Find all. I'm matching entire cells. So we've got 1, 2, 3. This one doesn't count. This one counts 4, 5, 4 again. Oh, this one's, we're doing formulas. So this last one doesn't count because that one is a value. And if I want to replace with test done 2, and let's make that a blue background with an orange font. I don't know why, but let's do that. So we're going to replace all tests. We can see what's going to come up. It's going to show up 4 times. It's going to replace the test with test done 2 and this blue background with orange text. Made 4 replacements, we can see what got replaced and so on. That's not particularly nice or useful, but anyways, it seems like a useful or a trick. I don't really know how useful it is. Okay, so the other thing we can do in Excel, the other thing functionality we're going to talk about today is the Goto dialog box. And there are 2 things you can do here. You can do Goto and you can do Goto special. If I want to bring the box up, the pop-up window up, I can do Control-G. That brings up the Goto box. I can do F5, which brings up the Goto box. I can use the mouse, find and select. There's the Goto box. Or I can, on Windows, do this little shortcut thing, Alt-H, find select, FD, and then G for Goto. If I want the special version, I can do any of those things to bring up the normal one and then click on special or Alt-S for special or tab down where that's highlighted and click on it and it's special. Or I can do my shortcut. It shows up under this find and select, go to special, Alt-H, FD for find and select, and that looks like an S for go to special. Okay, let's do the standard Goto first. First off, you can see there are no named ranges in my spreadsheet right now, but I can type in a cell reference, D11, and I go to cell D11. I do this sometimes. Let's say I want to create 10,000 random numbers between 0 and 1. Sometimes I'm doing a simulation. I want to create some random numbers. There is a single random number between 0 and 1, but how do I create 10,000? I go to a 10,001, type in equals rand, and then I copy this up. So Control C, Control Shift arrow up, Control V. Now I've got 10,000 random numbers between 0 and 1. So I'll sometimes use Goto for that. The place where I use Goto the most is when I've got named ranges in my spreadsheet. So let's create one today, and then we're going to call this today's, call the function today. Let me get my cell style. So heading 2, and we'll make this be a calculation because I get a calculation. So here's today. I'm going to name this cell. I will do this in another video at some point. But to name a cell, you can do Control F3 to bring up the name manager, new, and we're going to name this today. Okay, scope is the workbook, refers to cell J4, which is this cell here. Okay, so we've created a name range. And now we do Control G or F5, and you'll see that in that Goto, in the little, I don't know what to call this, box up here, you'll see today. You could type in today down there, and it'll go to the cell today. Type in today, goes to the cell. The nice thing about named ranges is I can use them in formulas. So we'll get to that sometime else in a later video. So we can go to named ranges. The other thing we can do with Goto is this Goto special. So I'm going to get to that doing F5 or Control G, Alt S to bring up Goto special. And you can see we can go to notes, which are like comments, constants, formulas, blanks, current region, current array, last cell, objects, and all sorts of things. Places where there's data validation and so on. So let's see here. Let's put a comment in. So I'm going to right click on this cell. I think there's a shortcut for putting in a comment, but I almost never use it. New comment. Here we go. This is a comment. Okay, so comments show up like that. Or if we can put in, sometimes this is called a note. This is a note. You can see it looks like a sticky note. So there's a comment, there's a note. So let's go this way. So Alt H, FD for find and select, S for go to special. We're gonna go to notes. Takes me to the note. Doesn't take me to the comment. I was hoping it would, but it doesn't. We can go to blanks. There are lots of those. It's finding thousands of them. It's found all the blanks. So it's selected all the cells in the used range of the spreadsheet, which are blank. End home gets me to the bottom right corner. So this is the bottom right corner of the spreadsheet. So it found pretty much everything, which is why it took a little while. And that is our functionality. So in this video, I've shown you two things. One is find and replace, and the other is the Goto function.